Hey best friend, what's up girl? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another story time. I know it's y'all's favorite to get messy. So today I'm going to be sharing the story of like legit one of the scariest moments of my life, and I'm not even exaggerating. You guys will find out why in a little bit because things got really real, and I ended up, let me not spoil it for y'all. As you can see, I am starting out with a fresh face. I wanted to kind of kill two birds with one stone today, so I will be getting ready with you guys. I'm going to be doing something simple on like my eyes and everything, but I wanted to do a red lip. I have been dying to do a red lip. I feel like red lips are like coming back, and I'm so here for it. Skin is looking so good. I have like this small blemish right here, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was this morning. Speaking of, I wanted to show you guys what I look like this morning and how rusty, crusty, and dusty I was looking. Thanks to my home skillets over at Teami Blends. You guys know that I love them and I love their products. So if you guys are wondering how to get this glowy skin, especially if you're having some problems, definitely check this product out. I promise it will change your life. It only takes about 10-15 minutes to use it. It is their detox mask, you guys. Now this is a clay mask and it's made with matcha and lemongrass, and it's a detoxifying mask, but it is not too harsh. It's not going to make your skin red or irritated. Also, what I love about it is when you start rinsing it off, it almost turns into like a cream, and you can really use it to exfoliate your face as well. It helps bring out those impurities in your skin. So this is how my skin was looking this morning. As you guys can see, very dull, very dry. I had this blemish here that was still there, a lot of puffiness. You can use this on a weekly basis. It is so gentle on your skin. It is the easiest mask that I've ever worked with. As you guys can see here, it glides onto the skin so beautifully. It makes for a really even application process, so that way, you know, you're not having to go over certain parts. And so it's very quick and easy to put it on, especially in the morning before a big day, photo shoots that you need your skin to look great for. Definitely consider this mask. I personally like using it right before I get into the shower. It's a lot easier for me to rinse it off. So like I said, 10-15 minutes, doesn't take that long. And in the meantime, you know, you can go ahead and whiten your teeth, or, you know, put in a hair mask or something like that. And then I jump into the shower, rinse it all off. This is the result. This is what it looks like right after I got dressed, after the shower. You can tell that there's such a big difference in the way that my skin looks. It feels amazing. And now that I'm filming, all I have is my moisturizer on, and I just did my eyebrows before coming down here to film. So if this don't tell you how well this mask works, I don't know what will. So definitely check out my description box. Teami Blends is such a big supporter of mine, my content, my story times, y'all's favorite, and I would really love it if you guys checked them out, supported them. I know the brand owner personally. She puts a lot of love and care into every one of her products. She actually makes these in small batches to ensure the quality in every single one of them. So if you guys are looking for good skincare, wellness products, you know, making sure that you're healthy from the inside out, definitely check out Teami Blends. I will have the link down below, and of course you guys can use my code GLAMFAM20, 20% off the entire site. Definitely check them out. Let them know that your girl sent you. Use my code GLAMFAM20 to get 20% off of any of their products, especially this amazing mask. It'll change your life. But without further ado, girl, let's get into this story time. Any and all of the products that I'll be using, of course, will be down in the description box below. I got you, girl. But I am going to be using EXO Cosmetics Palette today. I love our palette. You guys, it's freaking perfect for the fall. Like, freaking fantastical. Today's story is going to be about the time that I was literally scared for my life. And, you know, I don't say that lightly. I'm not here to be exaggerating and like, you know, trying to make a big deal out of something that really wasn't. It was a huge deal, okay? This took place right before I quit my full-time job to actually do YouTube full-time. A lot of you guys that have been with me for a minute, y'all remember like following me on Instagram, and I had Snapchat at the time. And I used to like Snapchat you guys and like be on Instagram during my lunch breaks and stuff. And I had this really annoying coworker, and like she and I would bicker almost every day. And so I would get onto my Snapchat especially and just like be going off, you know, just be going off at the mouth because she was like so annoying. So this is where this story took place. I've always been very interested in psychology and hold on, let me move my brushes over here, girl. I have always been very interested in psychology, psychiatry, and that's really what I was wanting to go to school to study, to become a psychiatrist. A lot of times when I was job searching, I love being in that realm and that type of, you know, environment. So at the time I was working with a staffing agency who would find jobs on my behalf sometimes, and the jobs that they would find me would range from like temp to hire, or, you know, just temporary, where I'm taking over someone's spot while they're on maternity leave. And sometimes they would even find positions that like they would just hire me right out front, right? Right before this, I had been at a job that I really hated. So I talked to my girl at the staffing agency that I work for, and she and I were actually really good friends. And I told her, I was like, dude, I fucking hate it here. Can you find me a new position? Like, this is not a good fit. And she was like, yeah, dude, I got you. So she started searching for me, and she found this entry-level receptionist position at this, I'm not going to tell you guys the name of it. It's crazy because this place isn't even around anymore. Basically, it had to do with like behavioral health. The counselors and the therapists there would help these individuals not only get the care that they needed for their mental health, but also like provide them with like bus vouchers, food vouchers, you know, if like they were kind of going through hard times. They would go above and beyond. They were a nonprofit organization. So whenever my girl brought this to me and she was like, hey, you know, they're looking for a receptionist. It is temp to hire. So they want to see if you're a good fit. If you are, you know, maybe they'll offer you the position in like 3 months time. And I was like, dude, that's perfect. Y'all know I could rock an interview. So of course I got the job, and by the following Monday, I was in my desk sitting at the front doing my thing. I actually met one of my really good friends. She came to my wedding. She just had her baby recently, and she and I are still in touch, and I met her at this job. You know, anybody who's ever worked in administrative work, clerical, like it's same, you know, front desk, answering phones, doing all of that. Now this place was a little bit different because we are working with therapists and counselors, and there's no product being sold. Basically, we just had to make sure that they were within the membership and stuff like that, right? Because I wasn't like an actual hire, I was just a temp. I didn't go through any type of training that all of the other employees went through. All I had to do was like, you know, meet up with my supervisor. You know, they gave me obviously like the front desk training, but there was a whole other like new hire training that I had never received because it just wasn't necessary. I was a temp person, you know? So I had a supervisor that was basically head of the admin team, and there was like 2 or 3 admins, and then me, which was the receptionist. And she was very young. I remember thinking, wow, she was really young to be in this position, and she had been working there for like 5 years or something like that. And she was really fun. She was one of those that you could definitely tell though when it was her time of the month. Like, she was very expressive, and if she was not having a good day, beach, you're not gonna have a good day either. Like, she had like an attitude. Like, so if she had an attitude, everybody was gonna feel it, right? We'll call her Samantha, okay? Fast forward some time, and I had been working there for probably like 3 months, okay? Not everything worked the same for all therapists. There was like a lot of them in the building, right? They would get calls to the front desk from their patients or their clients or whatever you want to say. Now, some therapists were like, hey, if they call, you know, just send them straight to me, you know, send them straight to my extension, and I will deal with them. And then other therapists, though, they were like, don't send them over to me. Tell them that they need to leave their information either on your voicemail or mine, and that I will get back to them within 24 hours. So I decided to make myself a list, right? Because your girl is savvy. And I was like, I don't want to mess up anybody's jam. So I made a list up at the front, and I was like, okay, these are the therapists that like don't mind being contacted like right then and there. And then these are the ones that are like, hail to the now, I need 24 hours, and you tell them that I will get back to them, okay? After a while though, you know, I didn't even have to look at this list because I got really used to who liked what and like the whole process, right? Now, it was at this point that I really was kind of taking over this position, so much so that I was like making like from scratch the entire handbook for new hires, and they had like new hires for different departments, and they entrusted me with creating all of the binders from the ground up. So I was really taking over this position, and I was hearing less and less from my supervisor, Samantha. When I first got there, of course, like she used to talk to me like every day about work and like what I needed to learn and all that. And at this point, like I really didn't need her help. So like we would do our good morning and good afternoon shift. Other than that, like I hardly ever talk to my supervisor. Like it was just wham bam, do my job, go home type of shit, you know? Now that was partially because I really knew how to do my job by this point, but it was also because Miss Samantha, she had just recently gotten married. And then while I was working there, she got pregnant. And like, dude, when I tell you, like, her whole demeanor changed. And like, she used to be like a very on top of it person, but when she got pregnant, yo, like, I would literally walk into her office and she's like on fucking Pinterest. My desk was like right near the copy room where the printer and stuff was, and it was like literally right behind my chair, and I would see her get up and down every single morning. And she had an office that was down the hall, so she would like literally all day, dude, like all day she would be like up and down, back and forth into that room. And I was like, Samantha, what are you doing? And she would be like, man, just like printing out stuff for her baby shower, like printing out like definitely not work related shit. And like, it was all about her being pregnant and her just getting married. And like, best believe it started getting around the office, and people were getting so annoyed because like people, like, there would be like therapists, you know, printing out actual work, and you go in there and it's like baby shit, and they're like, who's doing this? And I'm like, don't ask me. I'm not gonna be snitching. It's not, I see nothing, I know nothing. Like, I'm not that one, I don't know. But I really didn't know it was Samantha. Samantha was the only pregnant woman in the office until my girl, the one that I'm still friends with to this day, she got pregnant too. And when I tell you, oh my God, it was like the feud of the pregnant girls in the office. And like, my friend is so funny, has an amazing personality and everything. Now, the difference between my friend and Samantha is that like my friend came in and did her job, and it was like about her job. Like, she really didn't make it about her being pregnant. And like, Samantha was really getting on her motherfucking nerves. She was like, why is she like, you know, so she had her complaints and stuff too. And I ain't gonna lie, we was them bitches in the office talking shit. And that's why she and I are friends to this day, girl. Because she just, oh, she kept me sane. Hold on, let me hurry up and get to the premise of this damn story. I just need to give you guys like a backstory of who I was dealing with. So maybe it'll like help explain why things happened the way that they did. Oh shit, did I forget my liner? Oh my God, I did. Oh my God, what a rookie ass move. All right, that's fine. I'll try to do it with this. Gotta improvise because I'm not running all the way upstairs. Where was I? Like I said, 3 months I've been working there. I know my job really well. I know my girls, and like basically at this point my supervisor is getting on my damn nerves because, you know, she's not doing what she's supposed to do, and everything is about her pregnancy and like stuff like that, right? One day comes around, and I always had, obviously, like I had a routine that I would follow every fucking day, like the back of my hand. One of the things that I would do first thing in the morning was check my voicemail, because like if somebody just called the main number and nobody answered, then they would get like my general inbox voicemail, right? So I would go through the voicemails and like let everybody know who called for them and whatever, right? Now on this morning, it was really weird because like on average I would have maybe like 5 to 8 voicemails every morning. Like, it really was not like, it's not like I had like 50 or 60, you know, like it was you know, about a handful of them every day. But on this morning, I literally had like almost 30 voicemails, and I was like, oh shit. So, you know, I was like, let me get through these, right? So, you know, I checked the first few, and, you know, it's just regular schmegular. Like, you know, I was just wondering if this person has availability to see me. And, you know, I'm just checking on the status of my classes that I have coming up and stuff like that. And then I got this voicemail from this man. And he said, and at first he sounded really normal. And he was like, hey, my doctor is so-and-so, and I was just wondering if she had time to see me. I haven't been able to reach her, da-da-da, right? Now I write down his name and who his therapist is, and I'm like, all right, cool. Go on to the next voicemail. It's him again. And he's basically saying the same thing, and I would really appreciate a call back as soon as possible. Okay, so I, you know, wrote down that he called again, right? Girl, when I tell you that the rest of the voicemails were all him. And as he was like calling and calling and calling, every voicemail, he was angrier than the last. So by like the 20th one, he was fucking livid. And I mean livid, like yelling into the phone, cussing, like saying some derogatory, awful shit, and like, y'all better get back to me or y'all are gonna be sorry, and like da-da-da, right? Of course, you know, this is a behavioral health situation, so of course, like, I'm not gonna take this personally. Like, you know, it stands to reason that sometimes people may not be feeling their best when they're calling you. So I was like, okay, but this is like an emergency. He sounds like he really needs help. So I just went ahead. Usually I would just like put together a list and then email it over to the therapist. But on this day, because of how desperate he seemed, I called his therapist. His therapist was one of the ones that was on my list of like, she needs 24 hours notice. She doesn't like people being transferred over to her right then and there. Like, she needs time. And I knew that, and I was like, dude, like, this has to be an exception because he sounds really pissed. So I called her, and like, it was like first thing in the morning, and she was like, hi, Nikki. And you could tell that she was like, what did I tell you? Like, why are you calling me? And so I told her, I was like, hey, I know that you said this and this and like your process, but I just feel like you really need to know about this because he sounds desperate. And she was like, okay, who? So I gave her his name and all of his information, and she just like sat there on the phone, and she goes, Nikki, don't worry about it. I know exactly who you're talking about. I already spoke to him, and I let him know that he lost his membership status. There was something going on with like his health care coverage. And she was like, I cannot see him until he gets that rectified with his insurance. And I was like, oh. And she was like, I have left him voicemails. Like, I had talked to him about it. She was like, but I will get a hold of him and I will get this straightened out. Like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. So I verified with her, like, you don't want me to give him a call back. And she was like, no, like, you do not have to do anything. Just erase the voicemails and like, you're fine. And I was like, okay, cool. So all right, I did my job. Like, don't have to worry about it. So boop, I hit clear voicemail inbox and, you know, got rid of all his voicemails. Girl, the next day comes around, okay? Now I'm just, you know, leaving it up to the therapist. Like, obviously this is going to be fine. The next day comes around and I come into work and there's double the voicemails. And I literally, like, my heart drops because when I tell you, like, this man was so fucking angry, and I just like didn't want to hear it, like, for my own mental space, you know what I mean? Because he really was like calling, he didn't even know who he was leaving a voicemail for, but like, I'm the only one hearing it, and it's like, you know, like the C word and like in the house and like all kinds of like just terrible stuff. And I was like, well, damn, like, I'm not trying to sip on my coffee and start my day off like this, sir. Like, I don't even know you, you know? So I was like, shit. But it is my job. So I ended up calling my girl over, like my actual homie, the one that I'm still friends with to this day. And I called her over to my desk and I was like, dude, like, you have to listen to this, like, hear this guy, right? So my girl comes over to the desk and she was like, you know, let me hear like what's going on. So I play her the voicemail, and even she's like fucking clutching her pearls, and she was like, whoa. And she was like, so you told his therapist, right? Like, you told so-and-so. And I was like, yeah. And like, I told her about the conversation the day before, and like, it shouldn't have been a big deal, and that she said that she would handle it and that she would call him and all that. And she was like, okay, well, like, maybe she didn't have a chance to get a hold of him. I would call her again and let her know that this time it was double and just update her. And I was like, okay, I will. So that's what I ended up doing, girl. So I gave that therapist a call again. And like, legit, the first thing that she said to me when she answered the phone, she was like, did he call again? And I was like, calling is one thing. And like, that was the other thing, is that he was calling during hours that were obviously like not office hours. And I was like, dude, he's so pissed and he's saying that he has not heard from you. And she was like, I literally left him a voicemail yesterday. I tried emailing him and like, and again, she gave me the same spiel, you know, I will handle it. Don't worry about it. Just erase the messages. I got it. And I was like, okay. So here we go again. This goes on for 3 days. 3 days, to where I was like, this is just a part of my morning routine. Okay, let me get cussed out real fast. Hold on. So I knew every time I went to my desk that like when my voicemail was full, it was, oh boy. Of course, with all of this happening, by like the second day, I told my supervisor, and I was like, Samantha, like, this is what's happening. And, you know, I'm going through the voicemails and it's this guy. And she was like, okay. And same. And she was like, okay, so you told the therapist? I said, yeah. And she was like, okay, well, you did your job. Like, don't worry about it. And then proceeded to go on about her pregnancy. And I was like, okay, like, that's fine, whatever. Fast forward to the 3rd day. And I come in to work. I check my voicemails. There's a shit ton. And it's the same old shit. So instead of calling the therapist, because I'm not about to be making these calls every damn day, I emailed her. And instead, because, you know, like, the way that the voicemail was set up, there was also transcriptions. Like, you could pull the transcripts, just like the first 3 or 4, because like I definitely couldn't send all of them. And I pulled them, copied, pasted them into an email, and I said, hey, he called again this evening. This is the gist of what he had to say, you know, see attached. And she emailed me back and she was like, I will handle it. And in my mind, I was like, well, Obviously you're not. Like, obviously, I don't know what's going on. I'm not here to tell you how to do your job, but like, I really need not be hearing this and like checking my voicemail and having all of this happening every day. Like, handle your business, you know what I mean? This was like towards the end of the week because I had come in like that Monday, and that's when that started. That's when the call started. But by this time it was like heading into the weekend, so I know it had to have been like Thursday or Friday. And like every day up until this point, this was happening. If I remember correctly, every day was more calls than the day prior. And I was just like, is he gonna get to like 100 calls at some point? Like, what are we gonna do? He's, you know, just like filling up the inbox. And then it got to a point where he really was taking up all of the storage of our inbox. Because like I said, this inbox wasn't, you know, meant for this amount of calls. Like, I talked to Samantha about it that morning, and I was like, hey, it's just increasing. Like, I don't know what to do. And like now, you know, the voicemail box may be getting crammed. And so anybody who does call after hours who actually has a legitimate question or something, they're getting that voicemail box is full error, and they're not able to leave their own voicemail. So I started getting calls throughout the day from other people who are like, hey, I tried to call, but it said your voicemail box is full, and like giving me an attitude. And I'm like, ma'am, I know. So like I went to Samantha and I was like, this is an issue because now other people are pissed at me and thinking that I'm not doing my job, and it's really not that, and it's affecting anybody else who needs to get a hold of their therapist. Up until this point, I had been, you know, talking to the therapist on my own and like dealing with it on my own. But like, that's the whole point of having a supervisor. And I was like, hey, I just really want to pass this off to you because I don't want to keep calling her. I don't want to keep bothering her. I know what she's telling me, and I know she keeps telling me that she has a handle, but she doesn't. And now it's affecting whether or not I can do my job, because it was really hard to sift through all of the voicemails to find other people that I could help. Does that make sense? So like, I was like, it's just making my job harder. It's like messing up the flow of things. People aren't able to reach their therapist and like leave a voicemail. And like, these were like people that were coming in for meetings and stuff. They were trying to leave voicemails and they couldn't, you know? The CEO had stopped by my desk and was like, hey, just be on the lookout because we're going to have this huge meeting coming up in about 2 weeks. And people are going to be RSVPing because we're going to be ordering lunch. We're going to have these handbooks and we need to know how many and how much of what. Some of them RSVP via email, but some of them still call. So like, make sure you keep an eye on the voicemails. So I told Samantha that, and I was like, hey, like, this wouldn't be so much of an issue. It's not about me not wanting to go through the voicemails. It's about the fact that we have this huge meeting coming up. And Miss CEO already told me that like it is my job to monitor the voicemails very closely in preparation for this meeting. And like, it's getting harder and harder for me to sift through all of these voicemails that this man is leaving in order for me to find the really important ones that need to be tended to so that I can keep tally for the CEO. So like, can you please help me out? Y'all, she got so annoyed. She got so annoyed. And she was like, well, like, can't you just email so-and-so, the therapist? And I was like, Samantha. And I was getting really pissed. And I was like, I'm telling you that I have. And she's probably tired of hearing from me at this point. So can you please, like, in my mind, I was like, be my supervisor and, like, take over. Because this is a lot. And honestly, y'all, I was worried about like my position. And keep in mind, I am a temp, so I didn't want to piss off the CEO or disappoint her, and then it gets back to my temp agency, and then it can affect everything. And I just really didn't want to be in that position. And I was like, can you please just talk to her? And she was like, fine. So she gives me an attitude, which I wrote off as just hormones, because I was like, bitch, we will fight. And she was like, fine, Nikki, I will talk to her. I will find time to talk to her. And I was like, you mean in the middle of all your Pinteresting? Are you pinning shit at this point? Like, so sorry, I'm getting in between you and your pinning, okay? If an admin has an issue, it is your job to rectify it. And I've already tried, and I'm telling you that to no avail, okay? Fast forward, my lunch break comes around, and I remember at this time, I had put up a video like the night before, and I was getting a bunch of comments and stuff. And so I went out to my car and I was eating lunch, and I was really trying to respond to as many comments as I could. I had an hour lunch, so that's what I spent my lunch break doing. And then afterwards, you know, I come inside, I go right back to my desk and get right back to work. My phone rings and, you know, I answer it, give the usual greeting. and this man starts talking. And the minute, when I tell you, the minute that he started talking, I recognized his voice, and like my heart dropped, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, it's the same man. It's that man. It's the same man that's been leaving a voicemail. We're going to call him Gary, okay? So immediately I was like, oh my God, this is Gary. This is Gary, right? So the conversation, you know, is pretty normal at first. And he's like, hi, my name is Gary. And I've been calling every day this week, and I still haven't gotten a response. And so I told him, I was like, yes, sir. Like, I know, and I know you, and like, I'm really sorry. I have gotten a hold of your therapist, and she said that she was going to get a hold of you as soon as possible to rectify, you know, your issue. Kept cutting me off. And so it was at this point that he was like getting really frustrated, and he was cutting me off, and he was like, but she hasn't though. And I was like, okay, but when I talked to her, she told me that, you know, she's tried to contact you in multiple ways. And he was like, well, transfer me to her right now. Since you talked to her, like, you can talk to her. I need to talk to her. And I was like, well, and that's not procedure. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. Like, they could have somebody else that they're seeing at that moment. And like, you're not supposed to, if the therapist gives you specific instructions to not do that, we're not supposed to. So I was like, I immediately tell him, I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. Like, I'm not going to be able to get a hold of her right now. Like, she could be seeing someone else, and she could be seeing another one of her patients. And he was like, I don't care. It was at this moment that he started becoming like very angry. And he was just like, in a nutshell, like telling me that nobody was listening to him, and that he knew that I was lying to him. And he was like, I don't appreciate you lying to me. And like, you're lying to me for her. Did she tell you to lie to me? Did she tell you to like ignore me? And I was like, no, not at all, sir. Like, she didn't say that. And he was like, well, then why are you fucking doing that then? And I was like, I'm not though. Like, I swear on everything. So, you know, of course, I'm just like, I'm really not, sir. Like, I'm just letting you know policy and procedure. And he was like, I don't give a fuck about policies. I don't care. Like, if I tell you to do something, little girl, you better fucking do it. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, I'll tell you what, let me check if she's available, and I'll be right back with you. And he goes, before I put him on hold, he goes, for your sake, you better hope she is. And I was like, on hold. Now, I knew that there was nothing that I could do because, like I said, this was towards the end of the week. And sometimes the therapists, they would like take Thursday and Friday off and only work like 3 days out of the week. And I knew for a fact that this therapist was not in the office today. She was not. And like, I knew it. And the reason why I knew, and this is all gonna tie in together, right? So the way that things were built in the building was that it was a 2-story building. In order to get inside, you had to have a key card. It was not one of those buildings that you could just like walk freely in and out of. And part of my job was that if anybody was visiting, if we had a visitor to come see their therapist and they did not work there, I had to see their face and through the glass window in the front like of the door, and I would have to buzz them in, and then, you know, I would have to ask for their ID and have them sign in and do all that, right? Therapists usually worked downstairs, and they had their own exit that was like, it kind of was like a basement exit where they had to walk up some stairs to get to ground level, but they could walk out, obviously. They could leave through the bottom floor, but they could not return through the bottom floor. They could not use their badge to get in through that door. Does that make sense? So even if they left for lunch out of that door, they would have to come in through the front door to scan their badge and get back into the building. So I saw every single person that walked into the building, every single one of them. And I knew that this therapist was not there. So I'm like kind of flipping shit. So I'm like, okay, let me just like let him have a moment. Meanwhile, I'm emailing the therapist, even though I know she's not there. So I end up calling Samantha, my supervisor. And I was like, hey, this is the situation. I don't know what to tell him. He's not taking no for an answer. He does not want to be transferred around. He keeps saying he doesn't want to leave a voicemail. He doesn't want to wait. Like, he needs to talk to her now. And she was just like so nonchalant, and she was like, okay, but just like tell him that she's not in today. And I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't think she understands how pissed he is, but this is my supervisor telling me that this is what I need to do. So I'm like, all right, let me just see if I can diffuse this situation a little bit, right? preparing myself because I know that this man is gonna be fucking pissed as soon as I say what I have to say. I start off by saying, sir, I just want you to know that I have tried to the best of my abilities to get a hold of your therapist, unfortunately. And before I could finish my sentence, he goes, oh, this is gonna be very unfortunate for you. And I was like, what do you mean? And I could hear him like rustling around on the phone. And he goes, you know what? I'm sick and tired of you lying to me. And I was like, I'm not lying, sir. She's not in the office today. So then he starts in with saying, you've made the biggest mistake of your life, little girl. And I was like, I'm just, you know, so I'm trying to like stay calm. And so I can literally hear him like doing things on the phone, and I can hear like rustling, and I can hear like a door opening and closing and slamming, and he's fucking livid, and he's irate, right? So I keep trying to get a word in edgewise, and I'm like, you know, I'm doing everything that I can to get a hold of her, but she's not in right now. Like, she could probably call you first thing Monday morning, sir. And he goes, I don't have until Monday morning, and now neither do you. What? And y'all, this man started telling me how my office was set up. He goes, you want to sit here and lie to me and lie for her? I have something for you. He said, I'm on my way to your office right now. And then he starts telling me that he has a gun and that he's on his way and that he knows exactly. And he goes, you must be that little girl at the front desk, huh? I know exactly who you are and where you sit. I know exactly how to get in and out of the building. All I have to do is wait for somebody to leave for their lunch break and I'll be inside. And then he started telling me that there's nowhere for me to run because he knows that I don't have a door to exit besides the front door. So I will be like a fish in a barrel. I will be the easiest person to find and to shoot down. You guys, I could not keep my composure. I just could not keep my composure. And I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, what did you say? I was like, are you threatening me right now? And he goes, you can call it whatever you want. I personally keep my promises. And I was like, now the way that I'm speaking right now is a lot more calm than how he was speaking to me. I don't even think that I could give you guys a reenactment of how he sounded. Like, this person was definitely at the end of his rope. And then it was at this point that I heard him get into a car and like start the car. And I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, you can't, like, you're not going to be able to get in here. And he was like, how much you want to bet? And he was like, I have training in this. So he starts like telling me that he is positive. He knows exactly where I sit. He knows all about the building, and however many people that he has to get to his therapist, he will, because he's tired of being given the runaround, and he's tired of all of us lying to him and being dishonest with him, and that he's not going to be played for a fool, and that we must not know who he is and what he's capable of. The things that he was saying to me were so scary, and like the scariest part was that like all of it was accurate. He knew exactly all about my building, and like when he told me that there wasn't anywhere for me to go, like I wouldn't be able to leave the building, he was right, because I was on the first floor, that was the only door near me, was like the front door, and behind me was the copy room. And the way that the building was set up, like he got it spot on. And like he was basically telling me that, and was just like, I know that you're not going to be able to leave, even if you wanted to. Like, once I'm there, you're not going to be able to leave without me knowing. And I was just like, oh my God. It did not sound like an empty threat to me at all. So I start losing my shit. He seriously told me, he goes, and if you hang up on me, it's going to be even worse for you. And I was like, oh, y'all, my blood ran cold. My blood ran cold. And I was like, sir, I was like, I wish that I could help you. And he was like, it sucks that you can't, because you're going to pay the cost. And now you're going to pay the price, and like this and that. And like, he was just like, the things that he was saying to me were so eerie. And I had never, ever, ever been threatened like that, ever. He kept warning me. He was like, if you hang up this phone on me, he was like, I swear to God, you will never see your loved ones ever again. And I was like, oh, I knew that I couldn't put him on hold. I couldn't hang up the phone. Like, I couldn't do anything, because like, according to him, he's on his way here right now. I don't know where he's coming from. I don't know how long he's going to be here. And I'm just sitting here looking at that front door like he could be here any minute. And I don't know if he actually means what he says. This is a behavioral health center. So like, not everyone is in their right mind that, you know, comes here. I end up going like this, and I like take the phone away from my ear, and I start yelling and screaming to Samantha down the hall, and I was like, Samantha, Samantha, and I could hear him like laughing, and he was like, yeah, call them all. Call them all. That way it doesn't take me as long to get rid of you all and like, you know, get them all in the same room for me, will you? It's gonna be easier for me that way. And just like shit like that. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm like yelling for Samantha, and she like comes out into the hall and she was like, Nikki, what? And I was like, I need your help. I was like, I need your help. He's saying that he's coming here and that he's gonna kill me, and that he's coming here with the gun and he's pissed. And like literally, you guys, she's sitting there in the middle of the hallway and she's just looking at me, and she was like, just tell him that everything is gonna be fine. Like, just tell him. Like, she was not helping at all, and she was like telling me to repeat myself, and I was like, I'm telling you that he's on his way here right now. And she was like, no, he doesn't mean that. Like, Nikki, just calm down. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, he's not gonna come here. He could hear what she was saying, and he was literally like maniacally laughing and was like, she'll be one of the first to go. So I told her, I was like, if you think that you can diffuse the situation, Stacey, like, let me transfer him to you. And she was like, no. And I was like, Stacey, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I don't know what to say. He's pissed and he's saying that he's coming here and I need to leave. And she was like, no. And so she literally was just like brushing me off. And I was like, okay, well, like, if you feel, and she was like, no, just do this and do this. And I was literally in tears. And I was like, Stacey, I'm telling you, I cannot talk to him anymore. I cannot talk to him anymore. I need to transfer him to you. So like, really quickly, I transferred him to her office, and her phone starts ringing. And you guys, she's sitting there in the hallway and just looking at me. Her phone is ringing with this maniacal man who could not be on his way here with a gun, saying that he's gonna come in here and kill us all. And she is refusing, and she literally just sits there and just looks at me and just lets that phone ring and lets that phone ring. And the way that our phone system was set up is that if the phone call that I transferred over isn't answered, it bounces right back to my phone. So she just let it ring and ring and ring. And she was like, I'm not talking to him. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not his therapist or anything. And I was like, I'm not either. I'm not either, Samantha. I was like, so I don't know what you want me to tell him. You are my supervisor. You need to talk to him. If you think that you can diffuse the situation better than me, that's fine. So the call ends up getting kicked back to my phone, and it's ringing, right? And so like, I couldn't just like not answer it, because I was like, he's definitely like doing something, and he's definitely in his car, and like, he's definitely not in his right mind, and he's probably on his way here right now. So like, I didn't want to piss him off even more. So I just like answered the phone. I didn't say hello or anything. And I just have him on the phone, right? He's still going off. We made the biggest mistake of our life. How his face was going to be the last thing that we ever saw. That if he was going to go back to prison, that he was going to make it worth it with as many bodies as he can rack up. And I'm just sitting here not knowing what else to do, because nobody wants to take this call, and I'm scared. This was the end of the week, and this was like later on in the afternoon, so there weren't a whole lot of people in the office anyway. So I'm up there by myself, having to hear this man say these things, and like, I can literally hear him speeding, like I can hear his car. I didn't know what else to do. I literally put the phone down on my desk. I didn't hang it up. I just put it on my desk, and I started grabbing my shit. And I'm like grabbing my coat, and I'm grabbing my purse, and I was like, I gotta go. If y'all not gonna listen to me, I'm not gonna sit here and stay here for him to show up and quite possibly hurt me and all of you. I'm not gonna be a sitting duck. I have to go. I didn't say any of those things because I didn't want him to know that I was leaving. But like, that's how I was feeling. And I didn't feel bad about leaving my job assignment, because I was like, this is a threat to my life, and I don't know if he's actually capable. I don't know him. I do not know him. I don't know anything about him, his mental status. I don't know him. So like, the unknown to me was so scary. And I just remember just being like, fuck it, it's not worth it. I gotta go. All of a sudden, like, more and more of the employees are like coming towards the front, because they heard me screaming for Samantha, and like us fighting, and like me freaking out, and like I'm grabbing my stuff. And all of a sudden the HR director comes down the hallway, and he was like, Nikki, what's going on? And so like, I was just like, I'm tired of repeating myself. There's a man saying that he's on his way here with a gun, and like, I'm not here for it. I gotta go. And he was like, wait a minute, what? And I was like, yeah. So while I'm telling him, he looks over at another employee, and he said, call the police, because I couldn't get him off my phone. I was too scared. So he looked at somebody else, and he was like, call the police right now. So here we go. They called the police. He tells me that I cannot leave the building, because we're all in here together, and they're taking now they're taking this threat seriously. So they put the entire building on lockdown, and I mean on lockdown, turning off all of the lights as though this man wasn't gonna see all of our cars in the damn parking lot, closing all the blinds. Like, you guys, it was something out of a scary movie. And like, he was just like telling us, and I was like, I don't want to be here. And so like, I'm fighting with him. I was like, y'all need to let me leave. And he was like, no, because like, what if he is out in the parking lot? We don't know where he's at. We don't know what he's gonna do. So like, we need to all stay in here together. And I was like, oh my God, no. Like, I don't want to. And he was like, he's not gonna be able to get into the building. If it's on lockdown, nobody's gonna be coming or going. He's, you know, none of our doors are gonna be open. An alarm will go off. The police are on their way. You guys, it was this huge fucking thing. And I'm just like sitting there, and I'm literally, I cannot leave. I'm not allowed to leave. And I was just like, I immediately go into praying. I'm like praying and asking God to just look out for me and to like protect us, and like just stand before us, because I just even thinking about it, because I was really, really scared. I was so scared. So the person that called the police was a guy that I knew really well. And I actually gotta tell y'all a little story, because he was all the way full on married, and he would like bring me lunch and stuff, and like, he was such a flirt. He was an asshole for real. But in this moment, he really was my hero, because he called the police. He came behind my desk and he was like, hey, I just called the police. They're on their way. He said, hand me the phone. So hand me the phone. I'll talk to him. And he wasn't a therapist or anything. I forgot what his role was in the company, but he definitely was not a therapist. And he was like, just let me talk to him. I was like, okay, like fine. And I was like, be my guest. I have been begging somebody to help me with this situation, because I don't know what to do, and I don't know what to say, and I don't know how to handle this at all. And so he gets on the phone, and he's really calm, and he was like, sir, you know, we're trying our best to accommodate you. And this man, same thing. And he was like, who the fuck are you? Oh, you're trying to die too, huh, motherfucker? So my coworker was like, you know, sir, this isn't necessary, and like, you know, we can work this out. Meanwhile, there's another one of my coworkers trying to get a hold of his therapist, like emergency SOS, like you need to call him, saying that he's gonna, you know, that he's gonna harm everybody here, and that he's coming with a gun. And they could not get a hold of her. They could not get a hold of her. So like, everybody is like trying to do damage control, and like calling, and who can we get here, and what's gonna happen, and all of that. And then the police gave us an ETA of like almost 10 minutes, and they were like, you know, we're gonna be there as soon as we can. And my heart is beating so fast, because I don't know where this man is coming from. I felt like if somebody would have listened to me when this conversation first started, and I started like getting these threats in the first place, we would have been in a way better situation than we were now. All of a sudden, my coworker that's talking to this man, he hits the speaker button so that everybody can hear. And by this point, every single person that was still in the office was up front listening to this man on the speaker. And when I tell you, whoever didn't think this was a big deal, after hearing this man, everybody just like literally went pale. And we were all just like, and he just was going off, saying that he has something for all of us, and he knows exactly where we're at, and you know, nobody's gonna be able to convince him otherwise, and that we should have thought about that before fucking with him. Fast forward, like, I don't even know how much time. It seemed like it was forever. And finally the police show up, and like they knock on the window, and I was like so scared. And I was like, don't open it, don't open it, don't open it, don't open it. And like, because we didn't have like a security camera that we could access right then and there. Like, it was one of those that like it would record and then you could see it later. So like, we didn't have like a real-time camera. So I was like, don't open it. You don't know if it's him, and he could just pretend to be like the police. And like, I was just so scared, and I was like, do not open it. Like, that's some fucking horror movie shit. Like, don't fucking do it. And so my coworkers, like, we're all like at the window trying to look out, and sure enough, we see 2 squad cars out there, and the police were like, it's the police, like, open up. So my HR director ends up opening up the door, and I am petrified, and I'm just sitting there like, I will fucking run. I will break all these motherfucking windows. I will listen. I am not going out like this. I'm not. Come in, they shut the door, they lock it, and they start talking to us, you know, what happened. This man is still on the phone, on speaker, going off, right? Of course, you know, we bring him in, and at this point we had the phone on mute so that way this man wouldn't hear what we were doing, what we were saying. But he's still going off, and like, I got something for your ass, I'm on my way, there's gonna be nothing but body bags, and like, just crazy shit. So we bring the police over to my desk, and they're standing over the phone, and they're just hearing this man, and one of the police officers unmutes it, and he goes, "Mr. So-and-so, this is, you know, this county's police department. You know, we are here. You are not going to come here and harm these people." As soon as this police officer started talking, this man started laughing, and he was like, just like, I'm talking about like Joker type of fucking laughing. And he was like, "Oh, you guys got the pigs in, huh? You guys got the pigs in. Like, I give a fuck. Like, I care." Not even the police presence was even stopping this man. Fast forward, the police try to talk him down. He's still going off and saying that he's gonna get his revenge, that he's tired of being ignored. Everybody just treats him like he's an animal, and like he's tired of not being heard, and that since him being nice and patient has gotten him nowhere, so we gave him no other choice, and that if the police want to get in on it too and die as well, that they're more than welcome to stay there. And the police were like, "Where are you?" And he goes, "All you have to know is that I'm close. I'm close." He kept saying, "I'm close." Fast forward, I don't know how much time. I end up going back into the break room because I cannot hear this anymore. And I'm so scared, and I'm just like devastated, and I just want to leave, and I want to go home, and I want to see David, and I want to see Julian, and I want to see my mom. And like, I was so fucking scared. After a while, the police officers came back into the break room, and they were like, "He hung up. He hung up." And I was like, okay. So they told us that they had other officers scouting the entire area and doing laps around our building. So they decided that they did not want all of us to stay inside the building, that it wasn't the safest thing for us. And I was like, thank God. So they got all of our statements, especially mine. And then it was like something out of a fucking movie. More police officers showed up. Like, it was literally like 8 to 10 of them. They all had their hands on their guns, and they were walking each and every one of us out personally to our cars, making sure we got in there safe. And then they had a police escort drive us to the highway heading home. And like, I live so far. I live pretty far at this time. Like, it really was not near my house. So the police officer drove me like halfway home on the highway and everything. And then I just saw him take an exit, and I was on my way home. And when I tell you I fucking hauled ass, I had already called David in my car on the way home, and I was like crying and freaking out. And he was like, "What happened?" So I told him everything. And I got home, and I hugged him for the longest time. Called my staffing agency to tell them that I don't want to go back there. I'm not going back there. They need to find me another job. I don't feel safe. What happened? And I had to leave a voicemail because it was already after business hours. Fast forward to Monday, and I get a call from the HR director, not the staffing agency, the HR director of the behavioral health center. And he told me that he got word that I did not want to return to the office. And I said, "That's absolutely right. We really don't want to lose you. Could you please come?" He was like, "If it's any consolation to you, the police have apprehended Gary, so you have nothing to worry about." And like, that did make a difference to me. And I was like, I still don't feel comfortable. And he was like, let's have a conversation. He was like, "Honestly, like, we really just want to talk to you." And I don't remember what he said, and I don't remember how he fucking convinced me to go back there, but he did. If after we discussed this with you, he was like, "If you still wish to terminate your employment here, you know, we completely understand, but we'd really like to, you know, talk to you, and the therapist is here, and, you know, like, we really want to make sure that you're okay." So I ended up going back, and I was like, "I'm not coming to work. I'm coming to talk to y'all. Like, y'all better get somebody else in my position, because I'm talking to y'all and then I'm leaving. I don't feel comfortable." When I walk in, it is Gary's therapist. It is the HR director. It is my supervisor, Samantha. And it's also somebody else from like, she's like was ahead of another department, but it was like 4 or 5 of them. And they're all in the conference room, and they bring me in. And I was like pissed at every single one of them. I was just like pissed. And they start talking to me about like how things happen. And I looked at Gary's therapist, and I was like, "You've known how many times that he's been calling, the type of voicemails he's been leaving, how concerned I have been. I have relayed that to you. I have emails telling you about this, and we could not get a hold of you. This escalated very fast, and it was very scary. And I just don't want to be in this environment anymore." This part right here really pissed me off, because she was just very nonchalant about it. And she goes, "I have been working with Gary for over 2 years now. She was like, he is absolutely harmless. And I was like, really? Because he told me that he just got out of prison. And she said he went to prison for fraud, not for anything related to harming anybody or anything like that. And I was like, so that's supposed to make me feel better? So at this point, I was like, fuck this job, fuck all y'all. Like, don't try to downplay what the hell. Like, y'all try having somebody say these things to you. I'm gonna be honest, I am here to answer phones and forward emails and make coffee. I am not here, nor am I trained to be taking these phone calls, and I don't know how to handle these situations. And I absolutely 100% felt like my life was in danger. So however you guys want to spin it, I don't care if you know Gary personally. I don't care if you know his parents, his godmother. I don't care. He scared the hell out of me. I could hear that he was on his way. He was in his car and he sounded very angry and he was very sure of his intentions. And so I definitely do not feel safe working here. If this is the and also the type of treatment. And while I was saying this, I looked right at Samantha and I said the type of treatment that I got from my supervisor, and when I told her that I was not equipped to handle this call, was not appropriate. And they all turned to her, and the HR director said, Samantha, she's absolutely right. Nikki never received formal employee training because she is a temp. So all of the things that we've learned and how to deal with these situations, she was never given the opportunity to learn. Therefore, she was not equipped to handle that phone call, and you should have taken over because that is your job. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. She was like, and she looked at me and she was like, I'm sorry, Nikki. I should have taken over the call. I didn't even think about the fact that you've never received training. And I guess it's just a part of their employee training to handle these situations and these phone calls. Never have I been trained for that. I don't know how to de-escalate a situation like that. I am not trained or prepared for this type of shit. I'm just not. Girl, tell me why after that the HR director takes me into his office personally, just me and him, and offers me a permanent position in the company. Tells me he'll give me a raise, that he doesn't even want me to be at the receptionist desk anymore. He wants me to train somebody else to be there, and that he wanted me to have a higher up position in the company. My answer was hell to the no. No. No, sir. No, sir. No, no, I'm not doing it. So I ended up terminating my employment there effective immediately. And it was weird because shortly thereafter, that HR director ended up getting fired for sexual harassment claims. And then shortly thereafter, the company went under and they are no longer a company. So I got out right on time, girl. Anyways, y'all, that was this scariest moment of my life, to hear somebody threaten you that way and like just be so sure and maniacal about it. Like, I have never felt that type of fear ever, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So just be safe out there. Be safe when working in that field, because you know, you never know, and there is a level of risk there. So definitely be safe. I love you guys. This is how my makeup turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys have ever been in a situation like this, let me know your stories down below. Again, I will have all of the information for everything that I used for today's look down in my description box. And don't forget that if you guys are wanting some great skincare products or just even any wellness products, definitely check out Teami down below. I will have all of their information, the link that you can use, as well as my code to get 20% off of anything on their site. Thank you to my homies at Teami Blends for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate y'all. I love y'all so much, and I will see your fine ass in my next video. Peace out, y'all.